All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Welcome to science. When I say that game development and hardware and the way that they work together, even though one is art and one is fully scientific, at the end of the day, the way they interact is a scientific enterprise. Why? Because you can do analysis, you can do metrics, you can run tests, and you can take data, and you can pretty much analyze the data and make a lot of decisions. Now, when you actually point this out, one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people, in a sense, don't take into account is that the way these consoles have marketed themselves, you would think that they're somewhat free from these same principles and even these same challenges, depending on whatever it is you're looking at. I also remember when Gotham Knights came out, everybody dragged this game. And if you talked about this game saying 30 FPS was fine, like I did, and I played at 30 FPS, you got dragged as well. Even one of the gentlemen from Digital Foundry did an analysis on the game, even though it talked about how the textures look good and the quality of the materials look good. He ended up comparing it with the Arkham games and basically roasted the game to shreds. However, there's one thing that Digital Foundry and the folk can tell you now as a certainty, because more games have come out at 30 FPS this generation than did at the time. And that is, if you want to get full 60 FPS, then you're looking in the wrong place if you're actually thinking about a PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, for those of you who dialed into Digital Foundry talking about the 4070 comparisons, I hope you're ready to listen to this and take into account and factor it into your decision making.
I would say, depending upon what you want to do with the PlayStation 5 Pro, maybe you don't need to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. If you want to get 60 FPS in every game, don't get a PS5 Pro. I don't think that's what it's supposed to do. That's where you'd start looking towards a PC. Because the weakness in the PS5 Pro is still the CPU. I think the GPU is really fine for great looking visuals in most games, especially with PSSR, as we just saw. But if you want things like path tracing, or you want like 60 FPS no matter what, or 120 FPS no matter what, that is not what a console is. That's when you start looking towards PC. And then honestly, stuff like an RTX 4070 is actually like a good notch higher than the PS5 Pro, in my humble opinion, just because I feel like, like Rich just said, like it's going to be better than that 45% that Mark Cerny quoted. But it's also like, if you do turn on ray tracing, then it gets a lot better. I think we saw that in Alan Wake 2 when I compared the difference between an RTX 3080, which was better and rasterized, but the RTX 4070 had like 50% higher frame rate with path tracing stuff on. It was like nuts.
Yeah.
It was way better.
So at the end of the day, because of the way the scientific enterprise of, video game performance analysis goes, you really have to put your caveats on the table. And I saw some people on the console conversation side, even on the PC conversation side, and I could show you comments to that effect, but I have no time today for that. They basically staked their reputation of some kind on the initial statements made by Digital Foundry. The simple thing that was already missing in all of this was that you cannot have a good GPU perform well if the CPU is not going to actually support. Video games run on both. If not, we just plug a GPU into the motherboard and call it Gucci and then start running our games. You need a central processing unit that's going to run a whole lot of stuff when it pertains to the video game. Not only that, a console is not engineered to be able to give you the kind of performance that they're actually selling to you without offering you the full caveat and the nuance as loud as they possibly can. There's already consoles that claim that you can do 4K 120 FPS. The Xbox Series X claims that on the box of the console, which you can, but the games that can actually do it are games like Batman Arkham Knight, which uses hardware that is not as powerful as the Xbox Series X and S. These are the games that can run you, as high as even 4K in some cases, maybe even close to 90 FPS, maybe even 70 FPS or whatever it is. And then as you continue to go back to games like maybe Arkham City, Arkham Origins, you can get 4K 120 FPS on these consoles, or maybe not even that, but you can get really high frame rates and high resolutions if they would actually port them or unlock the frame rates. However, as these new games are becoming more and more competitive, to be able to give you much more realistic looks, much more realistic, presentation in terms of, say, their character models, their assets, and all of the above, with weather effects and everything that just looks very, very good in a sense. In most cases, much better than what you had back then. then you're now asking for more graphics processing. You're asking for more power, as they're, basically using new engines or new versions of engines that they've already used before, or as their engines are probably not even yet properly optimized for, say, 60 FPS or 16 millisecond and such. These are challenges that you're going to face. And when I say that, I'm talking about, Capcom and, their engines that they've actually had in the past, that they basically made Dragon's Dogma 2. And Dragon's Dogma 2 is getting some performance boosts, but, nothing that's going to actually shake the ground at the end of the day. But at the end of all of the conversations, your hardware really does influence how you get to play and enjoy a game. And for those of you who are playing on console who want more performance, your best bet is definitely going on a gaming PC. If you want to get the PlayStation 5 Pro just because you want to get the PS5 Pro, and that's fine. I've seen some people say, you get to lose your entire library if you try to go to PC. You're not the first that's going to go to PC from console. I mean, you don't lose the library. I mean, it's there on the PlayStation platform, right? You just gain a second library, which, when you come on PC, you're going to get used to having multiple libraries. Don't worry. Even those people who swear that they hate Epic Games, many of them claim the free games because there's just some free games there that are just irresistible. Like, and even sometimes if you have, say, an Amazon Prime account and you have the Twitch access to the Twitch, Prime free games, what you'll realize too is those, Twitch, free games, some of them are Epic Games, that you can actually claim them on. So people will claim a free game. Don't let them fool you in that regard. You can build your library very fast. But I think this is a very good lesson. This PlayStation 5 Pro is the best lesson ever. The PS5 should have been the lesson, but because of fanboyism, a lot of blind and emotional, responses to just a lot of the things that people were saying. And then coming from a YouTuber like me, at the time Gotham Knights came out, guys, I think I had like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 subs. So when I said something like that, like, hey, these consoles are not going to play you 60 FPS. Oh man, a lot of people were upset. Dude, you would have thought that I broke the internet with the people watching these videos, man. Because keep in mind, you got to go to my Gotham Knights playlist. At that time, I was probably one of the only YouTubers that was covering the game in as much detail as I possibly could. Right now I have almost 600 Gotham Knights videos. So in those videos, when I made those statements, my goodness, I was called shill. Some people said that Warner Brothers Montreal was paying me. I mean, oh my gosh. Even when I told them that I went to GameStop and traded games in to buy my Xbox copy of Gotham Knights, people were so emotional about everything. But now that the red pilling has now dawned on people that, hey man, there is just no way that these guys are going to sell you such powerful hardware for so little money, because the cost of the hardware itself, when you actually translate it in the market, is not something that you can get away with unless they heavily subsidize the hardware. And I think Xbox took the right path. I think them going with the higher clock speed for their CPU at the time made more design sense than anything else. I think Xbox knows gaming. Everyone acts like PlayStation is like, PlayStation is all about, to me, I've always thought that they're about the, the optics and, just the facade. But Xbox knows their stuff. Like they get it. But for the most part, they just have not been too serious about gaming. I think this generation, somewhere along the line, they decided, let's get serious. And now, everything is fracturing. They're pouring money left and right. They're owning content left and right. They're going to outclass PlayStation in content at the snap of a finger. By the time you roll 24 months, PlayStation will no longer be remembered anymore. Like, I kid you not. They're going to be like, one of these, they're going to be like any other third-party developer when they're putting a game out there. You're going to see it change very fast. But that's a different conversation. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. Peace out.